Alright, a lot of people have been asking me for this. This is the Accusim B-17. Be doing a tutorial on how to get her started. Quite honestly, the best plane I think A2A or Accusim has put out to date. Very accurate, very, very real, and immaculately done. I love this particular skin. This is not, this is a custom skin. It's been beat to hell. Got patches everywhere in it. It's got a naked blonde chick up on the front. No, you can't see her nipples. There, see, I zoomed in a little bit for you. Anyway, grab an FAA violation of your choice and a cigarette, and let's get this shit rolling. Alright, first thing we're going to do once we get in the plane, which you'll notice the windows are already starting to fog up on both sides. It tends to do that when you're breathing. So, go ahead and open up all the windows. Next thing you're going to need to know is pay attention to this panel right here. This gauge is your voltmeter. This gauge is your hydraulic pressure. Two things you're going to need to know. Now down here is your electrical panel. Turn your number 1 battery on. Turn your power inverter on. Your voltmeter up here will kick up. You'll hear it come on. Do a quick battery test. 2 on, 1 off. Check voltage. 3 on, 2 off. Check voltage. They're all copacetic. Turn all batteries on and move slightly to your right there. Look at your hydraulic pressure gauge. You need at least about 150 to 200 pounds of pressure in it. This right here is your hydraulic pump toggle. So keep an eye on your gauge, grab hold of the pump and hold it up until you see it get about 200 pounds of pressure in it. When it does, let go of it and it'll become self-sustaining. Now, moving on. While that's pumping, we're going to go over here to this panel. Now, this big U bar is your main ignition. Push it forward. Turn all 4 of your magnetos up to both. Now, forward of that is your main fuel valves. Turn all 4 of those on. And I tend to do it this way. These are your fuel boost pumps right here. I put on the boost pump to the engine that I'm starting so I don't lose where I am. Now, moving on again. Over here, you get a little bit of the gauges. Now, manifold pressure. This is for engines 1 and 2 on your left. 1 being outboard, 2 being inboard. This is for your manifold pressure on the right. 3 being inboard, 4 being outboard, dual needle gauges. Same thing for RPM. Fuel pressures over here on the right. This little set of lights right here. This is your carburetor air cleaner or your intake air, basically. If it's on green lights, it's on ram air. Switch it to filtered when you're on the ground or below 8,000 feet. Now, while that's switching over, we're going to come back over here. Now we're going to rotate our mixture back to full rich. Check that the boost on your turbos is set to 0. Now from here, normally, manually, we would open up the cowl flaps to full. Once they're opened up all the way, you shut your butterfly valve. If you want to cheat and do this, because you just a lot of it, hit shift 3 and tell your co-pilot to take care of everything else. Now turn your APU on, and as you do that, you'll watch your voltmeter over here. It's going to take the load. It's going to kick up your voltage. This little red dot right here, it's a control lock. Take it off. Down here on the floor, rudder and elevator lock. Take it off. This over here is a tail wheel lock. Leave it off. Now over here is a fuel primer. Put your cursor over it, select the engine you want, and prime the engine. A good 3 or 4 times before you go to start it. Now, we start these in a specific order: engines 3, 4, 2, and 1. Now our ram air is, or our inlet intake air has gone to amber, which is right where we want them. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip our number 3 engine over here. This is our start panel. Zoom in here a little bit to it. Now flip it up and listen, and you'll hear the wheel inside the starter spooling. Once you hear it spool and your co-pilot yells at you like that, wait a few seconds and flip that up and crack the throttle to about 10 or about 800 RPMs. Watch, and there you go. Now check your oil pressure, or have him do it. And as you'll see, we have right. So we're doing good on that. So once that's done, go ahead and move to the left side of your cockpit again and turn on the generator for engine 3. Now once that's done, move over here to the right and put your mixture to auto rich. Make sure you're pushing about 800 to 1,000 RPMs. I wouldn't try going much over that while you're trying to idle. Then repeat the process, which I'll go ahead and do. Now I'm going to accelerate this a bit because I can. And that is pretty much how you start up a B-17. Down here, now we're going to flip up the gens on all 4 engines that we didn't do a minute ago. And we're going to go ahead and make sure that the APU is shut off from this point. Now that we have good voltage all the way across, we know the engines are pushing, hit shift 3, and tell the little bastard in the back to shut off the APU. From that point, double check your flight controls are locked or unlocked, and which are down here on the floor again and right here in front of you. Once that's done, just keep an eye on your gauges. You want to make sure that you got good cylinder head temperature before you start moving. About 160 to 170 degrees while you're sitting here on the tarmac is good. And watch your damn intake air temperature. Make sure it gets upwards of 18-ish, depending on outside air temperature before you start moving it around. That way you don't wear out the parts on the engines. It's just a little bit easier on you. So now that everything's up and running, whoops. that ought to pretty much do it. That's how you get her started. I'll do another video on takeoff, climb out, and all the rest of that crap. Hope this helps. Have a wonderful day.